Am I gone? Hello, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Human Rights Commission. Today is Monday, September the 11th, 2023. It's 5:30 p.m. And we're going to start by calling this meeting to order. Jay, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Flood,
Present.
Commissioner Vignola,
Present.
Commissioner Cleary, Commissioner Ramaran, Commissioner Rinke,
Here.
Commissioner Horn,
Here.
Commissioner Greer,
Here.
Vice Chair Shepherd, Chair Loyola,
Present.
Student Representative Hanner.
Present.
We have quorum?
We have quorum, Mr. Chair, 6 commissioners are present.
That's great. The next item in the agenda, we are going to move to item number 4, which is presentation of Articles 7, 16, and 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This presentation is being made by Commissioner David Vignola.
Thank you. I think everybody has in your packet. A 4-page document. So let me start by saying, this was at the direction, I think at our last meeting, the vice chair and the commission talked about each of us taking, I believe it was 2 of the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and presenting to the full commission what it means. And that's, as far as I recall, was the only direction. I don't know who's doing which articles, but I volunteered to go first. So I took 3 of the articles and I took an approach to create a template. Now, this is not to suggest that every commissioner has to do the same thing that I did, but this helped me in understanding not only what I believe the article means as written in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but I took it, again, on my own volition, took it one step further and tried to assess what I believe that the state of that particular human right is here in Palm Springs and how it supported, again, in my opinion, the council's strategic priorities and their underlying objectives in that document that was distributed at our last meeting. Okay.
Commissioner Vignola, before you begin, could I ask those who are joining via Zoom to mute yourselves, please? We're picking up a lot of background noise. Thank you.
Looks like we have one non-commissioner. And it looks like Commissioner Cleary has joined, so just
Thank
So
you.
you know,
I've marked
Jay.
it as present. Yes.
I don't know if our Hangul can you see what we're looking at?
Probably not.
Oh, are you suggesting you put this up on screen?
Well, I don't know. You want to do this? I could talk it through or not put it up on the screen. I don't,
Let me see if I have it.
that's fine. For his benefit or her benefit, I guess I could read the article as written. I'll go ahead and start for the sake of time. So the first article I chose was Article 7, in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it reads, all are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. I interpreted this article to mean basically equal protection of the law as, for us, as guaranteed by the 5th and 14th Amendments of the US Constitution. And has been reinforced by hundreds of local, state, and federal civil rights laws. I think what's maybe worth discussion is how we want to, I think the purpose was behind this exercise seemed to be a desire among the commissioners to better understand what human rights is, and in doing so, then we can better determine what our mission is and what our goals and objectives should be. So that's kind of what led me to want to look at the human right and assess it, and again, in my own opinion, how it applies here. I chose to also use a color-coded system, a traffic stoplight system, if you will, to kind of indicate visually if that human right was doing well, in which case you'd see a green, or if it was doing pretty good, but we have to be cautious about it, concerned that things might be degrading it. So that's like yellow, and if it's really poor shape here in Palm Springs, then it's a red, kind of to alert you to that. So in this terms of this article, I think it's doing pretty well. I think here in Palm Springs, we are fortunate to be viewed as, most of our citizens are equal before the law and entitled to live without any discrimination. But there are some warning signals in our county, particularly in terms of the rights of individuals based on their gender identity. And I listed some of them here. I'm not going to necessarily read through them. Jay has it up on the screen, and you each have a physical copy of the document. But I think it's worth noting that I think with any human right, it's important to check in periodically as to how that human right is being secured and for all of our residents and citizens, and to be, aware when things are happening in our community that might put that human right at jeopardy. I listed a couple of ways where I think this human right is consistent with the council's strategic priorities, and this is my take on it. I welcome your input if you see something or think of something else, or you don't necessarily agree, that's fine. Any questions so far?
Any questions or comments from commissioners on Zoom?
I mean, this is a pretty straightforward article, so.
I have, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'll go ahead, or you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I am pleased that you went to so much trouble and went through all of these issues. It was my understanding what we were attempting to do at looking at the human rights, the UN human rights, was to determine one or two, each of us sort of take two that we had a great deal of passion about, in terms of how it would direct the commission to be functional. What kinds of things we might be able to do to support the strategic plan of the city. And well, I went through all of your ratings. I think that they're a great progressive political platform. I'm not sure that they are really directive in terms of how can the commission be effective and how can we best support the goal of the city to be inclusive and to project social justice. But please continue. That was my initial reaction.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not sure that I, as an individual, can come to that determination. I think collectively, we need to understand what does the article say, and then take it basically one step further and have a collective discussion to how to respond to what you just said. You know,
No,
how
I
do
believe that
we
was the
wanna-
purpose of us looking at the various articles, was so then we could determine what articles we best would adhere to going forward to come up with a platform of projects for the commission, so the commission would be seen as both effective and helpful and supportive of the inclusive and social justice platform of our supervisors.
And how would we do that? And
Well-
what criteria are we using to make that determination as to which
Well, I think-
article?
I think that we can use the articles quite effectively to come up with something like that. I was taken particularly by the end of our retreat of Donna and the other commissioner, I can't remember who it was. We're talking about mediation. You know, among the articles in the human rights are the entitlement to fair and equitable public hearings, for example. You know, one really good role I think that the Human Rights Commission could project and be able to go out and talk to the community about. And, you know, we talked about having a place on Thursday night at the street fair, something to talk to people, that we could really help people, is to be that initial first sounding board for any kinds of discrimination that you're mentioning in here, any kinds of you know, any kinds of housing discrimination, any kinds of employment discrimination, anything that people are seeing. We can be that first sounding board before it blows into a big political issue and takes the time of the city council, where they need to really focus on more practical items. You know, there are a lot of commissions that are kind of dealing with each of these problems, you know, housing and homelessness. And I think our responsibility can work from these human rights articles, where we really become the initial focus of making sure there is social justice, inclusion, and an avenue of approach for any individual, corporation, any group that needs a sounding board and needs to be able to have their issues dealt with on a reasonable and rational basis. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, I mean, I think that's all well and good. I'm not sure that was made clear. And so, you know, I just took my first shot. I stepped forward and took a shot at trying to explain the article, and now.
And I think you did a beautiful job. I really do. I wasn't not putting that down at all.
No, I appreciate I think you're right. I just think it was beyond the scope of what the assignment was, as I understood it, and without direction or from anybody. I mean, I did the best I could. So I think what I tried to do in the next article, and then we'll get to Commissioner Rinke, is try to come up with an actionable item.
I'm sorry, David, I just wanted to address this particular Article 7. I think you overinterpreted, because Article 25 talks about homelessness, everybody having a right to well-being in their community, including homelessness, food, having a home, food security, being able to have medical access. So I think part of these suggestions here and what what you're grading really belongs to another article. So I think there's a little bit of this might be overloaded in a lot of assessment, but I think teasing out some of these issues might make them more doable to Bev's point of view. But I understood what you had said and what was the assignment at the end of our last meeting, which was everybody would take a couple of these and see how they would apply to something actionable that we could adopt on our own strategic plan to align with the councils. So
Right,
that's all I have.
okay, thank you. So, I mean, I look forward to hearing from each of the other commissioners and how they present their articles in the next month. I don't know who's doing what articles in October, but perhaps Commissioner Greer will want to do her presentation in October, or Commissioner Rinke. I don't know what the schedule is because I haven't seen it. I don't know if everybody responded to the vice chair and made her aware of which two articles you feel passionate about. But this is just my own rough attempt at trying to articulate what I thought the articles in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights meant and how they might help guide us as we have, I'm sure, what will be impassioned conversations about our mission and our goals going forward. So
And I think, and I second that, because I think this is the impetus of the exercise, is to come prepared to talk about the articles that we feel very passionate about and provide our views about where the state of those articles and how they apply to our community here in the city of Palm Springs, which I fully commend you for doing that, Commissioner Vignolo. And this is great. This is the idea, is to have this conversation about what it means, how do we view it, how does it apply to the citizens in our communities, and where does the Human Rights Commission stand with regard to hearing the public when these articles may be violated, and how do we respond to that? And you know, I think Commissioner Greer's comment about the mediation bit is very, very significant, because we do have several commissioners in our commission who have been trained and certified to deal with this kind of situations. And we should do everything we can to invite the public to come to us when certain circumstances arise and engage in mediation. That's something that probably is not very clear to the community at the moment. At any rate, I think this is really great.
well, I just want to say, Chair, that, I mean, I know we put a lot of emphasis on mediation, and I'm totally in agreement that mediation is an important function, perhaps, of the Human Rights Commission, for lack of a better word, but it's not the only, it shouldn't be our only focus going forward. I hope that we'll, again, as the commissioners present their views on the articles, and it helps drive how we want to apply them or use them in our work going forward.
So
I think that would be helpful. I think there was some chat questions.
my only comment to that is to always remember that one of our key mandates is the educational piece. And that when we had this conversation at our strategic retreat, and it was obviously very important, that we've collectively identified as that piece, the education piece, and what can we do to educate the public about what human rights happen to be.
I agree.
And
I think that's what the vice chair was kind of stressing last time. Until we collectively understand what are human rights, then how can we educate the community about human rights? And I thought that was what she was trying to drive at. I'm not putting words in her mouth, but that was my recollection.
Commissioner Rinke?
Yeah, I agree. I think our goal was here to understand those human rights and to understand which ones would be applicable to to our commission to focus on. And then I want to say education without education being open-ended, educating which human rights about who, what, when, and where. So I think that's where we were trying to go per David's really commendable work here in being able to explain the article and then really summarize some actions, especially around affordable housing. Like I said, that was one of my own my own special to my heart areas as far as homelessness. But the summaries that you provided were very excellent. So I think we're in the right direction. So anyhow, I commend you, David, and we'll take up a couple more of these and figure out how they're actionable. And if we're going to educate, what are we educating about? Who are we educating and when? And how do we make it stick? Because I think those are the actionable pieces to it. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Any other comments from our commissioners on Zoom or here?
Well, I'd like to make a comment. I'm approaching this from exactly.
I think you have to.
You need to
Do I have to
press your
yes.
button, it'll turn green.
Because we're on record.
I see, okay. Sorry. I'm approaching it from a way different approach. I'd like to approach it from the lack of human rights in our world today. And I think that is way more important than, I mean, we know what human rights are. That's why we're on this commission. We passionately feel about the rights of, I'm sure that there's points of human rights where we miss and we need to explain them. But I think a better educational tool is to approach it from the opposite end. And that would be the lack of human rights. What's lacking in this world, especially today, and how did we get here? Because human rights are being attacked big time, and it's well and good to know what human rights are, but I think kids need to know what's disappearing. And human rights are disappearing throughout the world. So that's my passion, is to approach from a slightly negative. And I apologize for being negative, but we read the paper every day and things are not good. So that's my approach.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
You can't.
Okay.
I think that's great. Would like to continue that conversation with how do we determine the lack of human rights? Is it just a federal instinct, or is there a metric we look at, or how would you do what you just?
I would love to do a presentation about what's happening to human rights today in the world and how it affects us here in Palm Springs, for example. And it's beginning to affect us here in education and in other places. So I would be willing to talk, for a brief period and just say, this is what's happening.
Mhm. Commissioner Ranke, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but we're really focusing on Palm Springs. And what I liked about what you did, David, is you assessed the local climate. And I think if we want to be actionable, we need to know a gap analysis and assessment, about what's working, what's not working, and where are our opportunities. So I would take this and keep it more local than as, for example, taking it from a national point of view. And then what's not working, a lot of that is anecdotal or subjective, or it's, is it a trend? Is it real? Is it the media website that you're looking at that is an echo chamber? And I say this very loosely, but we want to kind of take out a little bit of the subjectivity, and I think David took a really good first stab at that and sort of understand what the opportunities are in this city. And again, this is my point of view.
Well,
Thank you. So I just because I wanted to make sure I made this other point that I didn't actually think about when I wrote this weeks ago. Is maybe something we want to, as a commission, think about, and I know the city and the city council have, and the police have used this tool to make that kind of gap assessment, is maybe we want to engage in some kind of listening sessions with business leaders in our community, with homeless in our community, with other groups in our community, and ask them the question, what do you see as the state of human rights here in the city? What do you feel is lacking? What, going, kind of getting their input, then rather than 9 of us sitting around a table trying to figure out what's missing, what can we do better, what does our community need, and just throwing that out as an idea. So
I would like to just follow up. What happens in Palm Springs, a lot of what happens in Palm Springs is affected by Riverside County. And I think we should analyze that, because there are people with very different points of view that surround the city. So we need to be conscious of that.
Agree.
Any further comments from our commissioners in Zoom?
The police chief just did a couple of listening sessions at one at our center for older infirm people, and one at Mizell that we also were part of. And I think what David, what you're saying is really not at all a bad idea, to be able to actually hear from various components of the community. And human rights tends to focus in on segments and sub-segments of the community, and maybe the way to look at is how people respond to or feel about the human rights, the UN human rights, which we are putting out there as the gold standard. Is the city meeting it? Are there areas where we can do better? Maybe that's a good initial educational tool to work through, and then from that be able to then develop what we can be effective at influencing going forward. I kind of like that as a thought.
I love that suggestion. I love that suggestion. I was going to say something along the lines of where does this begin? Does it begin with taking the pulse from the public in some kind of a survey, leading up to having some kind of a listening session with the community? Just a thought that occurred to me, but
I think from a logistic point of view, we're starting off exactly right. I think what David started here is really good. I think the rest of us should take our whatever we feel are our two and be able to report on them. I have to confess, I didn't go to anywhere near the depths that David did, but he's given me some ideas of how to expand on what I was interested in, which are basically 10 and 12. And I'll expand on those in the future and talk about them, how I relate them. Commissioner Reinke, as you said, more to Palm Springs, because I didn't. I was just relating them in general. But maybe once we understand better what we can propose or what we can educate the community about, then we can determine what subsets we should meet with and how we do that. I don't think finding communities is difficult in this area. People are used to that sort of thing, and they like to talk.
Yeah, I'd like to comment that we have that opportunity with our community liaisons, because we can maybe get on the agenda of those. One Palm Springs is meeting tomorrow night, for example, getting on the agenda and are planning an agenda where we take a pulse or some kind of a survey of the members, the Desert Community Highlands group. Different groups that we belong to or we know of. But I just want to say that we already have some of this information, but it's in pieces in the nonprofits. So I'm going to talk about the RISE initiative. I went actually out to the WASH with the police and with the 7 or 8 different groups that go out there, housing people, Martha's Village, Jewish Family Services. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, the police have a database of people who are homeless and are tracking it. There's a lot of good stuff going out there that we can either collaborate on or find out more what's missing. But I want to really emphasize that by going to some of these major community leaders. I met with the Desert Regional Hospital CEO. And just finding the Desert Healthcare District, and then finding out what's on their minds, what they're experiencing, as well as Martha's Village. Anyhow, those are my thoughts. But Commissioner Greer, I really want to really build on and amplify what you've just said.
Thank you.
That's great. So David,
So what's next?
if you can continue with the other articles that you picked.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I have to, but, 'cause I guess I would want to know what happens next. And the only article or actionable item I wanted to bring to the commission's attention that I felt passionate about was with Article 16, which really talks about marriage equality, and when you boil it down, if you look on page 3, the Human Rights Commission, this is again, as a possible action item going forward, might want to request from the City Council a formal resolution supporting the approval of the proposed California State Constitutional Amendment, ACA 5, which removes the language that's currently in the California State Constitution that says only marriages between a man and a woman is valid or recognized in California. Now, I know the City Council issued a letter of support to the Assembly Member Lowe on June 29th, 2023, but I think the Human Rights Commission might want to formally request a resolution of support from the City Council as it gets closer to the November 2024 general election. So that article is pretty straightforward, but I think in terms of its effect on primarily LGBTQ residents in Palm Springs, we would definitely like to see this ACA 5 passed by the voters, and the more we can encourage our city leaders to vocalize that through resolutions, and the more we can, as a commission, educate the community about the importance of voting to remove that specific language from the California State Constitution, it would send a message that the city of Palm Springs, although we all know it supports this, really supports this human right and wants to make sure that that language is removed from our state constitution in November 2024. Article 25, again, I kind of just, I feel passionate about that, but I don't, it's a lot of information in terms of standard of living and what that means. And, I think we could spend a whole session on what does that human right really mean and how is it lacking here in Palm Springs? And if so, what can we do to make it better? But I think of all of the ones I looked at, that's probably the one that needs most attention by the Human Rights Commission. I don't know in what form that is. I don't know if it's purely educational. Maybe it is, as Commissioner Rinke mentioned, working with other organizations and other initiatives to make sure we can expand that human right. I do think it's in alignment with the council's strategic priorities, clearly, because they make that very clear in that document. So I think that is probably something we want to focus on in our work going forward this year.
Any comments? I just want to second that thought because I think it's absolutely critical and very, very important.
I think that one's really a difficult one, for the commission to dive into, because it does say lack of circumstances beyond his control. And it becomes a very subjective and a very, hot potato kind of issue. Where we start to get to opinion and, it's your thought and my thought. I think that's a difficult one for us to educate people on. I've lived in, I'm a Canadian by birth, and I've lived in a lot of areas that have national health care, that have done guaranteed income programs and all sorts of socialist programs that have various effects. You start to get involved in a lot more of the politics of the area, rather than can we really help in the social justice area, which I think was where human rights needs to focus. So I have issues with focusing a lot of effort on Article 25, because I don't think it's something that we can have a lot of impact on. But that's just my own opinion.
Mhm. Definitely well received. Any additional comments? All right.
No, probably need to move forward. It's
Yep.
already 6 o'clock.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I muted. I just wanted to make a comment here, that this was part of the homelessness piece that I was focusing on, but the homelessness piece and what kind of efforts are going on within the community to support housing for the different populations who are homeless, and it's really kind of a population characterization. But I think the suggestions about the interpretation, I think probably focusing on one of they're called the social determinants of health in the medical literature now. And it's food insecurity, housing insecurity, financial insecurity. There's a number of them, mental health issues, access to healthcare. And so thinking about Article 25 and taking it from a public health point of view, you could think about it in as the social determinants of health and how we can help address that as it applies to human rights principle.
Thank you, Commissioner Rinker. Okay, that was a very excellent presentation, Commissioner Vignolo, and great thoughtful work. Clearly, we are identifying the kinds of things that the commission could do, which goes back to the educational piece and the listening piece, which is how we engage with our community, our thought leaders, all these organizations that are involved in these important issues, and collect the information that we need so that we can use it to inform the public and raise awareness. Which I think is the most important thing that we can do, given the fact that we're just a commission and that our role is to educate. One of our pieces is to educate. We're going to move up to the next item on the agenda, which is the acceptance of the agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the agenda.
Commissioner Vignolo moves. Do I have a second? To
I
accept the
second
agenda?
it. Oh.
Commissioner Rinke seconds. Any discussions? A vote by hand or say A? To accept the agenda?
Aye. Aye.
It's
Okay,
like everyone's hand.
everyone's hands up. The agenda is accepted. Jay, do we have any public comments?
Let's ask,
Mr.
R. Engel.
R.
if
Engel.
you're here to make any public comments?
He's muted.
Well, we don't know if he's a he or a she.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or
I'll query.
or a we, or they. So
To chat with them, I guess.
if you can put it in the chat perhaps.
I saw her. Would. I should look over here, it's easier. Would you like to?
It doesn't seem like
It
that's.
does not seem like it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we're
Okay,
gonna
um,
continue with.
You
our
know, I
agenda.
just,
We must
I have a I'm sorry, I have a question. So if I had a, I don't know if I put this in the public comments or the new business at the end of the session. But,
your slot to discuss the RISE initiative comes under 9C.
No, but I had a general question,
Mm.
a general request, nothing to do with RISE. So I was wondering where I can posit that recommendation or information.
And then that's with regard to what point in the agenda, Commissioner Rinke?
Is it new business or do I do it under public comments? Because I don't see new business on the agenda unless I'm missing something.
There.
Hmm,
I guess you could do it under maybe under announcement.
maybe under announcements.
Okay, but it's not an announcement, it's a request. All right,
I'll just do
I'll
it.
table it. Okay, okay, thank you. I had requested, looking into the blue zones that Beverly had, Commissioner Greer had described. I met with the Department of Dr. Shunling Sang from the UCR Department of Public Health Riverside, who is really proposing this particular is backing it, the blue zones, and has already met with leaders. And she really explained it to me in a way that was above and beyond than the Dan and Neil Buettner. In fact, at the Palm Springs one tomorrow, Dan Buettner will be describing the project. And the project is far more than trying to propagate more centenarians in Palm Springs. It's to really better the overall health of the community. But anyway, so they presented, Blue Zones presented a project plan to City Council. And I was wondering if the Human Rights Committee members could access that. Could we have a copy of that to better understand how this might overlap with some of the Human Rights Commission work? So that's my request. I put out queries to a couple of the City Council people. I'll be meeting with them later, I think next week or the following week. But I was wondering about access to that document. That's my request.
Who's the lead on that? Is it you, Jay?
Blue zones?
Your
No,
department?
no, blue zones is really, I don't think that City Council has designated any one department or staff member. But I know that the City Council is engaging with the concept of blue zones, and the public has been invited to join an information meeting, right, Commissioner Greer? That happened maybe about a month and a half ago. And so this is developing, and we can certainly figure it out if there's a City Council lead, council member lead on behalf of blue zones. And then Commissioner Rinke, we would make sure to ask and request for that document. But at this point, it's still, the whole blue zones is in development.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I think all of the information and proposals are public, though. I don't believe there's anything, it's not a closed door executive proposal, I don't believe.
Well, Dr.
yeah, you might
Shunling
know.
Zhang said, I can't share it with you. You have to ask it through your City Council because it's
that's-
proprietary.
Okay.
It's,
so there's
I think there's a
gotcha.
contractual base there with
I
a
see.
cost to
I
the
see
City
what you mean.
Council.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
Yep.
but just a better understanding of what this project plan looks like, because it's, it will probably cover some of our human rights initiatives and, well-being.
Well, it has a lot to do with how you design the city, and a lot of the proposals
So-
it's a wonderful concept.
I think the
Yeah.
leaders of the city decide what projects and what measurable improvement they're going to make in this 3-year project.
Excellent. So Jay, we need to figure out who among our City Council members is sort of like the lead, of anyone who's been appointed. And also if there's anyone city staff that might be already tasked to do something like this, but we'll
I
figure it
think
out.
it would go through planning, wouldn't Jay? I think it would go through the planning.
Thank you.
Well, that would make sense.
Yes, We'll figure it out.
We'll ask around.
we'll figure it out. Okay? We're gonna move on to, I have one comment, as chair to make today is September 11th, 2023. Today, we celebrate 22 years, we don't celebrate, but we remember 22 years of the terrible acts in New York City, where almost 3,000 people lost their lives. And as we're meeting today, I'm reminded that it is important to take a second to remember those folks.
Mr. Chair, make a comment on that too. We always remember New York City, but don't forget the Pentagon. I was there on that day. We lost 125
Yeah.
souls there.
Yeah, September the 11th, 2001 was a really dark day.
We will never forget.
We will never forget that.
Thank you.
The next item in the agenda,
Mr. Chair, did you want to address the status of Vice Chair Shepherd? If you're aware, I can just jump.
I am not aware.
Vice Chair Shepherd is requesting or resigning from the Human Rights Commission. So that request will go to City Council as any other members would be processed.
Thank you, Jay. Was not aware of that.
Do we have to fill? Do we have to fill our position?
You may.
I mean. But I know the commission can operate with 8 members plus 1 student representative.
Right.
But do we have to wait for the council to accept her resignation before we schedule because I don't think it's addressed in our rules, how to fill a officer vacancy, is it?
Probably not. I believe you're correct. We'd have to wait until the council accepts the resignation and then decide how to take action on that.
That's not on the agenda for
Nope.
tomorrow, right?
No,
City council.
not that I know of, right?
No, and then we will include in in the next available agenda so that we could have a discussion about it.
Can
Maybe
I ask a question?
take a vote.
Perhaps ignorance, are all of us appointed by council members or are there at-large commissioners?
No, we all appointed by our city council.
By individual city council persons or?
So you apply for this position, Michael,
Yes,
and city council look at your application and
Okay.
assign you to this commission.
okay, because sometimes commissioners are appointed by specific council people. Okay, thank you.
It's the full council.
The council looks at our applications.
I want to say that our rules, our document of rules and standard operating procedures does address removal or resignation of commission members, and it's
We're
on
gonna
page 12.
We're gonna get to that point in our agenda in just a minute, Commissioner Reagan.
I'm just saying that there is a there is a process for resignation.
Thank you. Item number 8, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 26, 2023?
Also move.
Commissioner Flood moves, Commissioner Greer seconds. Votes to approve minutes. Show of hands,
Aye,
okay, unanimous.
we have another. Commissioner join. Did you catch that, Jay?
Yeah, Commissioner Ramaran is here.
What's the name?
Commissioner Ramaran, you have your hand up.
Thank you.
That was my vote for that last item.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ramaran. Items for discussion and action. So we don't have anything to report on the executive standing committee. For item 982, the PSPD LGBT outreach liaison report. The only thing that I need to report back is that the task force met on August 17th. And that now Officer Justin Pierce Lawler, known as Pierce Law by the public, has joined the task force. And it's a welcome addition. to the task force as well. Item 9A3, master calendar. Thank you for putting this work together. Commissioner Vignola, would you like to give us a quick comment on that? It's very thorough.
Well, sure, we have some work to do since. The calendar is really just for the fourth quarter of this year. It, to the best of my ability, I've identified all of the possible. Events. You know, things like International Literacy Day, anything that I thought we might as a commission want to either recognize. Or in some way participate in. I did list the Village Fest. I did reach out to the organizers of Village Fest and they've approved the application for us to participate. At Thursday's Village Fest. But what we now will need to do as a commission is put. What's the term, is it metal to the pedal or pedal to the metal?
Pedal to the metal.
Something like that. And I would hope that this evening we can go through the calendar for the fourth quarter and assign commissioners to specific events that we are going to or desire to participate in. So that's why you'll see the legend. Any event in green has been confirmed, anything in yellow is tentative, but I listed, what I'm hoping to do is put our initials next to specific events. The only way I can think of doing that is collectively going through it month by month. Unless somebody has a different approach.
So if we do this for obviously September, we're almost halfway through. Maybe we can do September and October today. So that we know who is raising their hands for events in October as well. And when we meet in October, we'll ratify October and then we do November. And so on and so forth,
We could.
right?
And I think the only thing we really do need to focus on in November is start planning on who is going to participate in the Veterans Day Parade on November 11th. And who is going to participate in the Palm Springs Festival of Lights Parade on December 2nd.
If I could just say something. I don't mean to like raise any like alarms or anything, but I'm not on the legend.
Oh, did I not put you on the legend?
No,
We're gonna add you to the legend right now.
I know, I thought I was so cool.
Why?
You are.
I'm
It's
less
okay.
concerned with your participation.
I understand.
You know, I think. I think my thought was, you've got school and all of that, so if you can't participate in anything, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah,
The eight commissioners, assuming the council accepts the vice chair's resignation. I feel fairly strongly that the other all eight commissioners have to sign up for multiple events. Unless you have a compelling reason that you cannot participate or support any of these events. I expect to see all eight commissioners' initials somewhere on this calendar in multiple locations.
Can I ask a question? When you say participate, can you explain what participate?
Well, sure. Well, we can talk about that, but for example, Village Fest at minimum is gonna require 2 commissioners to sit at the table that we're given on that specific Thursday night from 7 to 10. Otherwise, we're gonna look foolish if we just have a table with nobody sitting there.
What is Village Fest? Is that downtown?
it's street
Yeah,
fair.
that's every Thursday night they close the
Right, okay.
Palm Canyon between, I think, Alejo and Baristo, maybe. And
Sounds
I don't know where on that street we will be, but we'll have a table.
So if
And
we sit at
material
the
there.
table,
Um.
what are we subjected to?
It's really just like,
Questions?
like,
Questions, people approaching you saying, oh, so what is the Palm Springs Human Rights?
So there's some literature that we can share with them. We have a form that people can sign or fill if they want to put a complaint or they want to share something that is happening with regard to a human rights violation. They might want to just know what is the Human Rights Commission, right?
I think we probably need some kind of an agenda of what's going to be presented. But do you think it's unreasonable to be presenting every week or having somebody there to man or woman or be there every week? You know, two times a month maybe. And I don't know if you've been already. There's a lot of red tape to get into the Village Fest, making an application. But I just want to be sure that the application's accepted, and then we think about how we're going to be able to staff that table and what we're going to provide. You know, project plan. Does that make sense, or am I?
Yeah, I mean,
jumping the
the
gun here.
Village Fest application is done. It was easy to do. They've agreed that the Human Rights Commission can have a table during Village Fest for however long. It's an open-ended commitment. It doesn't require that we be there every Thursday. I think as a commission, we need to decide how many Thursdays do we want to be there? And you know, but I think it would be really bad if we say we're going to participate in Village Fest and then we show up for one Thursday once a month or one Thursday in the fourth quarter. Then that looks like we really don't know what we're doing. So personally, I think it would be best to have a presence at least twice a month, if not 3 times a month, maybe skip a week. But I mean, I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer. I mean, it's how much visibility do you want? That was the whole point, I thought, at the last meeting, when people said, oh, why are we not showing up at Village Fest?
Yeah.
Like the Palm Springs Police Department or the Mounted Police. I mean, they're there every Thursday night. So, I mean, it just depends what you want. Do you
Yeah.
want to be there every Thursday? Do you want to be there twice a month? Or-
And again, don't forget that this is a personal commitment, right? It's a personal commitment. So if you raise your hand and say you want to participate in these events, you just want to make sure that you do it.
I mean, there's also the idea that, on an extreme level, if we do it all 4 weeks, like if we were there every week, it's not the same 2 people have to sign up. It could be a rotated thing where 2 people go the first week and then 2 different people go the next week and so on and so forth. So you wouldn't have to commit all month. I also think it would be reasonable that if we did 3 times, a month, that we do the 3 weeks that we don't have a meeting.
It's a good idea.
That's a me thing, just because I feel like we have time to then prepare, or after Village Fest, we have things to present at the next meeting. And then we have until, like, after that meeting, we have until the next, instead of cramming things in 2 days before Village Fest the same week.
And part of it depends on your own schedules. I mean, if you can, you know, because of work or family obligations or whatever, you can only commit to the 3rd Thursday of October, then okay. But until we start putting names again on the paper, we don't know who can do what. And so I just simply listed all the events, and we can go through it as the chair suggested and look at September and October right now and see what do we want to try to do in those 2 months.
So let's just see if anyone wants to join any particular Thursday of the rest of the month of September for Village Fest.
I personally am not in town in September. I'll still be out of town.
I'll be free for the 28th.
So they 28th, wonderful. Anyone else?
I gotta bring up my calendar.
I also would like to say that I think, because I know you said we have literature that we can distribute and like a,
We'll get you the literature. We have.
well, like in our complaint box, but I think.
Yep.
Me personally, I think we should have like a flyer or a brochure explaining who the heck we are.
Yeah. We
Well,
can,
I don't know how we do that.
we can produce that.
if I'm given a document of information that wants to be presented on a flyer, I will make one.
Canva.com.
What do you think I've been using?
Canva. We'll
Love
use
Canva.
Canva to produce something. Great.
I've got a couple of questions. One is, the Palm Springs membership meeting for police training, that's tomorrow. What is that?
That's the one PS monthly membership meeting. So any one of us can go to it. Or anybody can go to it.
This is
It's
the,
not, it's just a really, I put it on there for informational
Yeah.
purposes.
this is the Organized Neighborhood Association, one PS. So Vista Norte, you know, every single neighborhood
Neighborhood goes.
has representation and they meet once a month. And they talk about issues related to neighborhoods.
Okay,
Police department goes there, fire department goes there, folks from the city go attend to these meetings. And they provide updates. It's a great organization, and if you're interested in joining, they have a website. And you can just
Okay.
show up and say, I'm part of the Human Rights Commission. And I'm here to listen,
okay.
and then you can take notes and bring them back, Michael, and report.
I might go to that, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I might
It
go.
also would be a very good group to get, from a focus group later. To get property owners and people that are residents of the community that are not, transients or, you know, that they need to have a voice in the Human Rights Commission as well.
Yeah.
I
And
think
I
for
would like-
September,
Commissioner Ramaran has his hand up.
Yes, and in addition to the table, I mean, we do have some of the materials. I know, Jay, there are materials that were returned to the office that can be handed out as flyers and information. The hate crimes card is very important, but we should definitely have a QR code that people can just scan. This is actually a great opportunity for us to gather hard data from folks. If we have a survey questions that we wanted, I think we discussed something like that. That'd be great. It'd be a great opportunity to get these kind of like this kind of input from the community.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it's 54 neighborhoods. I think it's a really powerful organization to get your pulse on what's happening in Palm Springs throughout the entire north, south, east, west area. But I mean, I will sign up to go to Palm Springs, but I'm not in town for tomorrow, unfortunately.
That's awesome.
And the blue zones is being presented there, as I understand, where there's some resistance or some additional information wanting to be
Right.
shared.
And this takes place at the police training center, which is literally across the street as you exit City Hall on the other side of the street.
Civic
That's
Avenue,
the-
Civic.
That's that way, right?
Civic Avenue, on Civic Avenue, Civic Drive, I think it's
Yes,
called.
drive.
Civic Drive.
That's that way.
I do,
it's right next to, it's right across from this,
Is it like across
other
from the
isn't
dog park?
police,
no,
That
on the other
way?
side of Tacwick.
it's definitely
Is-
Oh,
that
that's
way.
what's there, okay.
It's definitely that way. It's
Headquarters.
Okay.
that
got it.
way.
Okay.
Now, they've already published their agenda and they are reporting on a position on Blue Zone. It's the board of directors position on Blue Zone is what's being presented tomorrow night, based on the agenda that they sent out this afternoon.
Right. Yeah.
I think
it's
if you
actu-
want to.
It's actually Neil Butner, who is the son of Daniel Butner, who started Blue Zones, who'll be presenting. So it should be pretty interesting, actually.
Mhm.
What is Blue Zone?
It's not on the agenda, but we'll send, I'll be happy to share the
Okay.
website. There's a website, there's a documentary on Netflix. You
Okay,
can watch it. It has like 4 episodes that explains everything about Blue Zones.
okay.
And Palm
That's
Springs is
excellent.
trying to adopt it.
There's also, if you want to do there's a Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
On the different blue zones. It's basically a project that they have then adopted from his research on how to enhance well-being and quality of life for your entire citizenry and make them live longer and happier lives and healthier lives.
It's a fascinating documentary.
Okay.
It's a
highly-
wonderful documentary, yeah.
I love
I
it,
want to know
yeah.
where you get the purple purple potatoes. Ooh, they look so good.
So in addition to Lily on the 28th for Village Fest, do we have anyone else who will sit with Lily on the 28th?
Or any other Thursday in September, because I'm only seeing one name on one day.
I'm
I have to check.
out of town next week, so I can't really be here any other time.
Okay,
That's fine.
so maybe September is not a good
Well,
month.
we could
Maybe
start in October.
Why,
Maybe
why
we can
why don't we
start
start in October? Yeah.
Okay, now, Buddha Bullying, 10th Anniversary Community Festival on the 30th of September. My initials there, I'm attending. And anyone else who wants to join, it's gonna be a fantastic community event.
Well, I already put down Commissioner Clary and myself, so
So the three of us will be there.
at least the three of us. Anyone else wish to attend? Glenn?
So,
What are we doing?
We
We're
just,
just gonna
I'm
show up.
gonna show for the kickball event. I'm gonna kick the ball with kids.
Does the Human Rights Commission wish to have any kind of table? Do we want to do any kind of engagement with the youth, or are we just gonna walk
I'm
around?
gonna put my badge on. I'm gonna go kick the ball with the children. That's what I'm gonna do.
I'd like to do the lecture, the auditorium lecture.
It's kind of an outdoor event. I'm not sure if there's.
Well,
really
no, it's
other-
indoors.
Is
the
it indoors?
pavilion. I mean, didn't we send out the flyer that Dimitri
Yes,
provided? I think I sent it
Yes.
to Jay. He disseminated it to all the commissioners. On that flyer, there was a link to go to if you're interested in being a speaker. Then you could sign up to be a speaker and do a presentation or speak from whatever you want to speak about. I mean,
Okay, I'll think about it.
I mean, that's,
okay. So we have representation for that move. We need to move on because of time. October,
October, so we've got two.
first activity is Sunday the 1st with Filipino American History Month, LGBT History Month.
Yeah, so if it's a month-long thing, I stuck it on the first day.
Alright.
Doesn't mean it occurs on the first day. Clearly, the Filipino American History Month is a month-long
Commissioner Ramaran,
recognition.
do you know of a particular event to celebrate Filipino American History Month?
Yes,
There is
it's
a
on, it's
Coachella
on
Valley
October.
Filipino Festival
Hold on.
Yeah, exactly what Commissioner Vino was referring to, so.
on the 8th. So I put it on the 8th. Anybody want to, do we want to do anything with that event? Do we want to attend the Filipino Festival? I've never been to it, I don't know.
It's the first annual, Commissioner.
Is it the first annual one?
Okay, so.
Where
signing up
is
for
it?
this,
Where did you say?
Cultural
it-
Center.
It's going to be at the Cultural Center.
The former Camelot Theater.
Oh, yeah, right. What time is it? Does it start or is it all day?
We can get you all the information,
Calendar says
Commissioner, yeah.
11 AM to 5 PM.
Okay, sign me up. For September, this is September 15th.
No,
No, the 8th,
October the
October
8th,
the 8th.
Sunday,
Oh,
October
I'm
the
so-
8th.
Oh, that's
Do you not
Hispanic.
have
I'm
the
sorry.
calendar in front of you?
I'm sorry, I do. I'm multitasking.
Okay.
I apologize.
Yeah, Sunday, October 8th,
Okay, got it.
11 to 5 PM at the Palm Springs Cultural Center.
Okay,
I
Can
should
you
be-
attend or
yes,
not?
I
Okay,
can. Put me down.
I will put you down. Any other commissioners interested in?
Could you sign me up as well?
I'm already there, as you know.
You're already there? You wear
Wonderful.
2 hats?
I wore many hats.
Wonderful. The
All right.
next is we have a regular meeting scheduled for the 9th, so everyone will be attending in person or via Zoom. Then there is the 1 PS meeting on 10th of October. Again, at
We
the police
skipped
training center.
one. October 3rd is the National Night Out, sponsored by the Palm Springs Police Department at Palm Springs Stadium. Again, I put it as for informational purposes, but we could have a booth if we desire, or table, or we could show up. If we want. I don't know, do we want to go to this or not?
I'm unavailable.
Okay, well, any takers for the Village Fest on October 5th?
I'll definitely be there then.
Hmm?
I can do the 5th. If we start in October, I can do the 5th.
A second person, commissioner for the 5th of October for Village Fest.
I can't, I'll be out of town.
You'll be out of town.
The 10th of the.
The 5th is street fair. Since we're deciding to start,
Village Fest?
yes, it's the
It's a
same
weekly
thing.
event.
Yeah, I know, but you said the 10th. I don't have Village Fest on the 10th.
It's
No.
the 5th.
5th.
5th of October,
Oh, the
the
5th.
12th of October, the 19th of October.
Okay.
I can do the 19th of October,
I can do the 19th as well.
okay?
Now, I can do Village Fest, period.
So then 19 sounds like it's going to be our first appearance at Village Fest.
Yeah.
We have 3 people, including Lily. That's great. The 10th, 1 PS. Police Training Center, if anyone's interested.
I am interested in that one.
All right, Michael Horn. Anyone else?
Carlotta.
Carlotta Rinke. Wonderful.
Just so you're clear, I mean, you can go to that event, but you're not gonna be able to say anything unless you want to speak as a member of the public.
And as just a reminder, if you're speaking for the record, public record, you must remember that you're not speaking on behalf of the commission, you're speaking as a commissioner. Okay, and those are your points of view. Very important to keep that in mind, particularly when media is involved and we're being recorded about what we say. Very, very important. Then the next thing is the 13, which is Pride on the Page, the Palm Springs opening night featuring Tales of the City with author Anistad Maupin at the Cultural Center. And this is a this is a ticketed event.
It is a ticketed event, again, I only put it on there for informational purposes to make you aware. I don't think the Human Rights Commission needs to officially participate, but.
And that's a 2-day
you're
event,
more than
right? The
welcome.
13 and the
It is a
14.
2-day event.
I want to go to that.
Probably the only other thing is. You know, does the commission want to do anything to recognize Indigenous Peoples' Day on October 9th? It is a Human Rights Commission
So,
regular meeting.
What we could do, because we have a proclamation for Hispanic Heritage Month that the commission released and published, and we had city officials attending the event a few years ago. We can do a reading of the proclamation during our meeting on October the 9th.
I
and
can put it on the agenda then.
And we
I'm
can put it in the
interested in,
agenda.
I'm interested in coming back to September, first day of Hispanic Heritage Month.
Uh-huh.
That's
I'm
this Friday,
interested
right?
in that.
So remember that Hispanic Heritage Month moves from September to October. So it's a month-long
It's a recognition.
recognition of all of
So-
our Hispanic cultures. And as a commission, we do have a proclamation to celebrate the month of Hispanic heritage.
I am interested in that.
It's not necessarily an event.
But I-
There's no
Just a
event.
reading of a proclamation.
We can do a reading of the proclamation,
Oh, at the meeting.
at the meeting on the
October
9th.
meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
So that's gonna go into the agenda.
Did we want to do something for Indigenous Peoples' Day then? Because it's the
I've
same
always
day.
wanted to do a parade, but we don't have the resources or the manpower.
do you want to just? I thought, maybe I misunderstood the chair, I thought you were saying we would take the Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation and
And read it.
do a similar one for the Indigenous Peoples' Day. Can we do 2 proclamations?
Oh.
Sure, why not?
Will they be in Spanish? Because if they are, I would read it as bad.
I don't know.
I will table that because I want to review the entire text of the proclamation. I believe there's mention of indigenous people.
Or is there? Oh, okay,
And I will communicate that to everyone, through Jay. I'll be
Of
happy
course,
to look at that tonight.
November is also Native American Heritage Month.
yeah, we
That's
haven't. gotten
November.
to
We've
November
gotten,
yet.
we haven't gotten to November.
Still trying to get.
We're trying to
October.
finish October.
Anything?
Try to
do we
speed
wanna
it up
do-
for us.
Do we want to do anything to recognize National Coming Out Day on October 11?
Just wear pride colors.
Okay, we can maybe mention it during the meeting on the 9th.
On the night, we can do that, yeah.
Final thing, the DAP Health Equity Walk. Any desire of the Human Rights Commission to perhaps have a team walk? A commission walk?
So this
Or no
requires,
participation?
this requires a
You
lot
know,
of.
I've already got a group out that are doing that walk of my support for health equity. So, sorry about that.
Well, can we just give you the Human Rights Commission banner and you can just
Sure,
use
I
it as a
can.
sash?
I might
Yeah.
go to that.
Okay, we'll put you down for that.
I've got about 20 people coming.
You could just wear your commissioner lapel pin.
Your badge,
I don't have one.
you will eventually,
It'll come in the mail.
It'll
at
come
some
in the
point
mail.
ever.
and that is October. And so next meeting, when we have our next meeting, we're gonna look at the rest of October and November. And so we'll do this to make sure that we have participation in events.
Well, again, particularly the Veterans Day Parade. You know, on October 9th, we will not conclude the meeting
Okay.
until we have.
Veterans Day
names
is a very
assigned.
important day. All right, so so this is November the 11th, Veterans Day Parade. In recent years, we've had the commission marching, we had our banner. We had several commissioners joining on this very important parade. And just let us know if you're gonna be there. I am gonna be there.
I'll be there
Yeah,
as
just-
well.
Send me a note or send
I'll
it through
probably,
Jay.
I'm
so
sure I'll
we
be
can-
back in town by then too, but also, by the way, the 23rd is Thanksgiving, not the 30th or whatever you have there.
Thanksgiving Day is
23rd.
the 30th, isn't it?
No,
No,
it's 23rd this year.
Up to the 23rd.
It's the
Okay, I'll make
23rd.
that. So
Yeah.
I just have to flip that. Village Fest will be on November 30th.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll have a presentation for Veterans Day, yes?
I can be there too at Veterans.
I can try to. be
It's a
there.
fantastic parade.
The Saturday.
And then
Beautiful, all right.
Okay.
Moving along,
I'm gonna update the calendar and then on October 9th, I'll send a revised 4-month calendar through Jay and he'll include it in the agenda packet. for
David,
October
my
9th.
name is spelled incorrectly.
we'll update.
That's fine. I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
Moving along, Main Street, met, but I have nothing to report of significance. David, do we have anything for 1PS?
No.
For this past month? No? Glenn or David, do we have anything for veterans issues to report on?
Let me just start with the, number 7, we start with the Desert Island
Yes.
Gateway States. I have nothing for that issue. But the veterans issues, just want to say regarding the Village Fest, we also have to recognize that some logistics are involved. And we've got a table, cover, things like that. I mean, we also want the same position every Thursday.
I
The
think they do.
American Legion Post 519 has one that's right near in front of the, close to the, oh, I forget what it is, the new shopping area right there. And it's worked out real well. But there's also, I'm involved in that, sometimes I do volunteer on that, but they have at least 2 or 3 people working that, and they do hand out brochures and things like that. And I think it's a worthwhile thing that the commission should be doing. But we have to realize, I mean, when you set it up, you get there early enough to do that. So it starts at 7, you gotta get there by 6:15 or earlier, depending on where your location is, because you can't change your location every week.
Mm.
You want that same spot, wherever that spot is, and the spot now that we're coming into this, we don't know exactly where the spot is, I don't
Mhm.
think, so. It might not be the most, I guess, greatest spot for traffic. So we have to do things, you have to do things to make sure you get a lot of, foot traffic and tell our story, so. But it's worked out well for Post 519 American Legion. And they give out little flags to people and things like that, so. You have to think more broadly on that, and as far as, I would say, yes, 2 people, more than 2, maybe, it just depends on what type of tent cover we have and table, and things like that. That's all I want to stress on that, but other than that, I have nothing else to report on the veterans.
Thanks for that.
And I'm just looking at the message from the program coordinator for Village Fest. I did send her copies of the material from our website, because they wanted that before they would approve the application. They did, Board of Directors approved it. She did not indicate where we would be on the street. She said you may want to have a tent for lighting or get creative with your lighting if you do not have a tent. As far as I know, we have nothing except the table skirt for the table. So all we're gonna have is the table skirt, a table, and they provide 2 chairs. I don't know where it will be. I can check with Faith and see if I can get a location or how it would work, but I didn't want to do that until we had a commitment
Yeah,
from some commissioners,
So-
you're gonna show up on this date.
What, what?
that was,
Village
that's what,
Fest.
Village Fest for the
Oh, Village
19th,
Fest, Okay,
the 19th of October.
So I will write back to her and tell her that the first date they'll attend, right, if I'm correct, is October 19th.
Mhm.
There'll be 2 of us or 3. Lily, did you say yes?
Yes.
Carlora, you and Lily,
We may have to bring a chair. I don't think they give us.
I can be
one.
there as well.
and Edwin.
On the
Commissioner Rama.
19th of October, you could be there?
Thursday, October 19th, yes.
Okay, because the hours change in October, that goes to 6 to 10. They go from summer hours to regular hours, so I guess we'd have to be there at 5:30
They're gonna kick us out, so.
to find the table and put our materials out. And Jay would get us the table skirt and bring it to the October 9th meeting. Is that possible?
I'll look for it. I don't know where all the things are. but
Brushing
I will
dust off
definitely
of
look
it.
for it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully they don't. pull the
Item-
table.
Item 9A, 9, Youth Education Affairs Standing Committee, Hannah Shepherd Vignolo. Anything to report?
No.
On youth? Item 10, 9A10, mediation. Anything to report? David?
Nope.
Item 9A11, Equity and Social Justice Committee, Shepherd is not here, so probably we don't have anything to report. Item 9B, proposed changes to the rules of procedures of the Human Rights Commission of the City of Palm Springs dated 9/12/96. Thank you, David, for the work of trying to shape this really all document and bringing some important information that is more pertaining to today's goals and roles of the commission. I know some commissioners had some feedback on this. Commissioner Renke Kalota had some comments.
Well, I don't know, how do you want to do this? It's 6:54.
I know. So what I would suggest is that if you feel very strongly about providing any feedback to this document, that you go ahead and do it, knowing that this is a work in progress. That this is a work in progress and we are working to shape this document in a way that makes sense for the commission today. But we also recognize that this will leave us with the opportunity to revise it every few years. and that the commission should actively pursue looking at it every few years and updating it accordingly. This should not be a document that is just living in some shelves collecting dust. It should be a living document that needs to be looked at every year, reviewed, updated. So those are my 2 cents.
My the document was, very, very well done, David. I really appreciate it. I had some comments wanting to make it less prescriptive and a little bit more nimble so that you wouldn't have to make a lot of edits regularly with the liaisons, but I'll submit my have comments, and I don't know, who should I send those to you, David, or to you, Hugh, or to the group? How do we move forward here?
I
I'm sorry.
personally
Okay,
do
I'll
not
send it.
want to make this my full-time occupation. Uh,
I thought David did a wonderful job, and I think we should start by accepting his changes as done. And then that's the new document that we start to work with.
Well, I know
Um,
Commissioner Rinke already had some concerns with the mission statement. And so I was going to suggest, for the sake of time, that maybe we focus on the document, take it in short little pieces. That we only talk about the mission statement tonight. And then next October 9th, we talk about the goals. That's one approach. The other thought I had is perhaps we create a small ad hoc committee of 3 commissioners, perhaps 4, that will commit to meeting on a regular, recurring basis to work through the document and come up with a proposed draft that can be presented to the full commission by a specific date, whether that's January 1st, 2024, or whatever.
Yeah.
So those are 2 different approaches. I'm happy to entertain either one.
In my opinion, that's probably the better route, is to have an ad hoc committee that will meet and work on the shaping this document and presented it to the commission at large. And if I'm not mistaken, obviously, David, you've done the lion's share of the work of putting updates here. But it
Absolutely.
sounds also that Commissioner
But
Rinke
it's only my personal.
but it also sounds
Yeah,
like
sure.
Other people may have a different perspective. That's why.
Commissioner Rinke has some ideas and suggestions as well.
So I would be happy to be part of an ad hoc committee, David, and to work closely
Mhm.
and with whoever else would be interested.
And so if anyone else is interested in joining Commissioner Rinke, Commissioner Vignolo on working on this document, please say so. Raise your hand.
Come on, I just want one more person. Oliver.
There is Commissioner Oliver Cleary. Thank you, Commissioner Cleary.
Okay,
You saved the day.
do we have to make
You
a
know,
motion
and-
to
So,
establish
yes.
the ad hoc committee, Jay, or can we just do it?
Let's make a motion.
Let's make a motion. Okay, so do we have a motion to create the ad hoc committee?
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to establish an ad hoc committee for the sole purpose of reviewing and suggesting modifications to the rules and procedures of the Human Rights Commission of the City of Palm Springs, document dated in 1996.
Do we have a
And
second?
assigning myself, Commissioner Ranke, and Commissioner Cleary to this ad hoc committee.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Commissioner Rinke seconded. Any discussions? Let's put that to a vote. You can raise your hand and say hi. Okay, so it looks like we have majority vote. Great, so it passes. Thank you for taking the lead on this and
So
agreeing to
Can
work
I
on.
send an email directly to Commissioner Cleary and Commissioner Ranke to set up a meeting of 3 commissioners
You can set up the.
as an ad hoc committee?
Yes, but beyond that, ad hoc committees,
I forget it. Just the 3 of us
okay,
to meet only to discuss this document and work on coming up with a draft.
right, that's fine.
Okay,
Do you need to know every meeting? When the 3 of us sit down at a
just
table?
make sure.
I'll just copy you
I
on
think we had a
everything.
good conversation with our city attorney on these things. My understanding was even ad hoc committees require the agenda to be posted and noticed. But then I thought I saw something to the contrary, so I will
Check with them, because
double check.
I can check with them too, but. I'd like to, just for the Commissioner Cleary and Commissioner Rankin, send you an email and try to set some specific dates for us to meet. Happy to host at my house.
Well, it would have to be a public meeting
Public, meaning you have to meet here. Or via Zoom
or via Zoom.
and invite people to join in if they
I
want.
don't want to do it via Zoom because I think that's too difficult. I want the three of us to sit in a room and do the work. And if it has to be here, then you have to reserve this room
Right.
probably on a weekly basis,
Mhm.
if possible, or every 10 days or something. Otherwise, it'll never get done.
All right, so let's move on. I'm very mindful of the time and we basically running out of time to finish this. Item 9C, the Rice Initiative update. Commissioner Rinke, if you could give us a very brief update on
Sure.
this, appreciate it.
Do you think you can pull up the picture? Jay? Oh, there it is. Yeah. And this is really directly from the website. And I plan on going out regularly with the RISE group. I met with Andy Mills and Frank Guerrero, I believe, is his
Guarino.
main
Frank Guarino. Frank
Guarino,
Guarino.
yes, Guarino. And Jorge Diaz was the individual that I went out with. These two officers are his people that participate in the RISE initiative. And you can see the actual acronym is the Resilience, Inclusion, and Support for Ending Homelessness. But there were multiple people. There were people there from DAP Health, actually supplying needles and Narcan, clean needles and syringes for those people that were on fentanyl and other kinds of injectable drugs. Martha's Village was there, the Jewish Family Services. There were like 7 different groups coming together at 7 o'clock in the morning to the Tockwitz wash Genotry at the Tockwitz golf course. There was like a food bank and the police were there to kind of monitor and watch. But what I want to really mention is that Officer Diaz had showed me he has a database. They're tracking like I think there's like almost 400 homeless people that they've tracked. They have any kind of phone numbers, any kind of identification numbers. They check up on them. They know their names when they go to the wash to this tent community and ask how they're doing. Do you need any water? Are you still interested in housing? It's really, really impressive. And I feel like it needs more visibility because it's a model for collaboration of multiple nonprofits to pool their resources, people as well as food. I didn't mention that there is from the Desert Healthcare District, there's a healthcare mobile unit that comes, and these people know that they're going to be there, and they come and there's a doctor there who treats them for any kind of injuries they might have or issues they might have. And so the people know that and they trust it. I mean, it's really a remarkable example of what's going on here in homelessness. So I want to really point that out and give more of visibility to this wonderful work that's going on. Think about that, a database. And actually Martha's Village helps these people who don't have driver's licenses. So there's a way to get their ID through the DMV. And with their IDs, and they're able to sign up for their Social Security or any kind of pension funding monies that they can kind of get back and claim, which in their homeless state, they're not able to. So I just want to point that out and really congratulate our police department for being a part of this and coordinating it with the other kinds of nonprofits. So that's all I have. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner Rinke. Any comments? That's a great update. Thank you for participating. And yes, I completely agree. The work that our police department is doing to assist our homeless population situation is remarkable. It is remarkable.
I want to applaud. This is actually under Jay Verada's department too, so we want to applaud Jay.
I know.
Yeah,
I
yes.
know. Roman, I
Thank you.
didn't mention that Roman Ruiz, who reports to Jay, is there, and he's part of a coordinator. Yeah, as well as the navigation center. So we have a connection to a key piece to how Palm Springs is approaching homelessness from multiple angles.
Thank you. A lot of it came together when Roman came on board and we had the resources to really put this together, so.
Jay is gonna be as cool
Thank you
as-
for everything you do to help our homeless population.
Absolutely.
Cool as me now.
Okay, so some of the items that I picked up for the agenda for next meeting includes the continuation of the presentation of articles now that we've learned that Commissioner Shepherd has resigned. We're gonna have to figure it out how we coordinate this moving forward. So as soon as we have more information, we will communicate to the commission at large. We will continue to hammer down our calendar of events for the next couple of months. With more participation. We will have some responses to the ad hoc. Committee that will be meeting to work on rules and procedures. And I don't know if you picked anything else, Jay, that I didn't.
Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Yes, so yeah, I will provide an update for the proclamation on Hispanic heritage and indigenous people. Which we will want to read at our next meeting.
And then a possible update on the Blue Zone City
and update on
Council.
Blue Zones.
Thank you.
From City Council, yes. But for anyone who's interested in Blue Zones, please go to Netflix, check out the documentary. It is absolutely fantastic. Any additional announcements or comments from any commissioner at this time? Jay, do we have any from you? Okay, so I'm gonna move to adjourn our meeting today. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Commissioner Horn moves, so I have a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Flood seconds.
Did you make the motion?
Commissioner
You made
Horn.
the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you made it.
All right, anyone? So let's vote to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Great. So the commission will adjourn to an adjourned regular meeting on Monday, October 9th, 2023. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night. Be safe.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Bye. Can you let us know about when